declare the meeting open and this advise members of the public that by being present at the meeting, you consent to the city recording and live streaming your image and or voice in accordance with the city's live streaming policy. Could I call upon Deputy Mayor to welcome us to country?
Thank you, Worship. I begin by acknowledging my elders past and present. Ngalak yin kuro ngalanoy nijin nonga puja. Nonga majurban nijin and kwabrak nonga puja kuralong. From the beginning of time to the end, this is Noongar country. Noongar people have been graceful keepers of our nation for many, many years. Look, listen, understand, and embrace all the elements of Noongar country that is forever our home. Hello and welcome. My heart is happy as we gather on country and meeting here on Noongar country this evening.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you here, and before commencing proceedings, I would like to acknowledge that we come together tonight on the traditional lands of the Noongar people and pay my respects to elders past and present. Could I call upon Councillor Wood to read the dedication?
May we, the elected members of the City of Kwinana, have the wisdom to consider all matters before us with due consideration, integrity and respect for the Council Chamber. May the decisions made be in good faith and always in the best interests of the greater Kwinana community that we serve.
Attendance, apology, leave of absence previously approved is nil. Public question time. We do have 2 questions from members of the public. We do have a question from Moira Nell, who Moira is not here. No? So Moira's question will be included in the council minutes and an answer provided in her absence. We also have a question from Mr. Fred Ferrante. Could you please come forward to the podium? State your full name and address, and you can read your question.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Fred Ferrante from Ascari Development, Champion Place, Wellard.
And sir, I will say, this, get to the question, there's no opportunity for any sort of preamble in relation to a question, so.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay.
A full copy of my preamble is with the city, so anyone here can read it. Which is explaining that Ascari Development owns land in Champion Place. And I've attended this evening to ask a question, or 2 questions, relating to the timing of the return of the $212,000 early clearance bond that Ascari Developments paid to the City of Kwinana for the development of the local park in Tamworth Estate subdivision. And my first question is, given that the objective of the early clearance bond has been fully achieved for over 7 months since the successful practical completion inspection was held on the 2nd of December 2025, and that the community has had free and unrestricted use of the park since that date, on what specific legislative, regulatory or contractual grounds is the city administration refusing to return the $212,080 early clearance bond in full to Ascari Developments? And my second question, on what exact date will the City of Kwinana release these funds back to the developer so they can meet their financial obligations and pay contractors and suppliers for the works that have been completed back in December, for which the community has had full and unrestricted benefit of and use of since that date?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Ferrante. As has been explained, the question is actually of an operational nature, and in due course the CEO will respond in writing to you, and the answer will also be included in the answer section of the next council minutes at the next meeting. Okay? Thank you. There are no other questions to Councillor Penny.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, if I can ask you a question. With the question from the other resident, Moira, sorry I didn't catch her surname, is there a reason why that question is not being read out? And I understand if it needs to be taken on notice, but I just think in terms of process, you know, if it's possible for that question to be read out.
So the reason why I'm not reading it out is because the question was not provided to me on the correct format on the question time form, but we will accept her question in any event. So I don't actually have it in the format that I can currently table. So
Thank you.
I will give you the
That's
general
great.
gist of the. It's actually in relation to one of the other items on tonight's agenda in relation to the development in Miller Road. So petitions, councillors, presentations. Neil, we do have one deputation from. Who's the deputation from? From Urbis. If you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and elected members, for the opportunity for Urbis to present tonight. We provided a presentation earlier or yesterday.
That was emailed out to everybody.
Review that presentation, and as I go through this deputation, I will point to certain slides, so if you want to follow along. If not, just thank you for your attention. Firstly, I just want to acknowledge the Washington people as the traditional custodians on the land on which we meet. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. We also thank the cities and its planning officers for their engagement throughout the process today. However, we are really disappointed with the recommendation not to support the structure plan, and in particular, the city's technical advice that has been included for the first time in attachment 17.1.5 of tonight's agenda. This has made it difficult for us to meaningfully respond to the city's concerns. Many of these issues raised could have been addressed by our technical consultants prior to the final recommendation being made to council, had we been given the opportunity to actually respond. We also note that the city's had an additional 40 days beyond the 60-day statutory timeframe to present the report to council and provide its recommendation to the WAPC. This extension requires applicants' consent under the deemed provisions of the LPS regs. However, no request for an extension has been received, and during this period we did speak to city officers and requested that to use this period wisely. If any technical issues that have been raised or any concerns they have, if we could use that extra 40 days to meaningfully improve the project and address concerns. Unfortunately, this did not occur. As a result, we are now in a position where these matters haven't been addressed, and rather than being resolved directly with the city and its officers, we have to directly engage with the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage. In relation to structural plan considerations, the Woolcoot Structural Plan, or Miller Road Structural Plan, responds to a highly constrained site, while delivering outcomes that align with the city's and council's strategic objectives to support infill development, housing and community infrastructure. The proposal demonstrates how careful planning can unlock underutilised land and deliver long-term benefit to the community of East Wellard. The site will support much-needed residential infill with an established urban area, and ultimately the structural plan will facilitate 460 dwellings, contributing to housing choice, affordability, while making efficient use of existing infrastructure. The proposed density is appropriate and for the site context and supports a walkable, connected neighbourhoods. The critical elements of the structure plan is the delivery of a key connection to Sunrise Boulevard. This connection improves the local permeability, will reduce travel times and strengthens integration with the surrounding local road network, while also providing much-needed public transport connections. The internal road layout is designed to balance accessibility with traffic calming, ensuring a safe, legible movement for residents and visitors. It also provides a new and improved access roads around Sunrise Primary School. These upgrades are focused on improving safety during peak school periods, reducing congestion, and providing clearer separation between local traffic and school-related movements. The improved pedestrian and cyclist connections will also support safer movements for school children. A key outcome of the plan is the creation of a local centre adjacent to a functional open space. This co-location was designed to support a strong community hub for East Wellard, encouraging daily activity, social interaction and local services within walking distance of surrounding homes. The open space will be accessible and flexible and support both informal and community investment. The structure plan acknowledges and responds to the existing site constraints, particularly the odour buffer affecting the majority of or 2/3 of the southern portion of the site. And development has been carefully planned to respect these constraints while still achieving efficient land use and high quality urban outcomes. Overall, the structure plan represents a balanced and considered response to a complex site. In terms of the wetland reclassification, until very recently, modifying wetland extents through the structure planning process has been accepted as industry practice. As part of our pre-lodgement discussions with both the DBCA and DPLA, they confirmed that wetland modifications can be considered through the structure plan, provided that an assessment in accordance with the requirements of the methodology for evaluation of wetlands was undertaken. That evaluation was undertaken and is included in the environmental assessment report and informed the wetland layout that you can see in the structure plan. Importantly, considering the wetlands extents at the structure plan stage allows for an integrated and coordinated planning outcome that responds to how the site is developed over time. The proposed wetlands extents are based on a detailed site-specific investigation, and this approach provides a more accurate representation of current on-ground conditions rather than relying on historic data on mapping that may not reflect the actual site attributes. Formal wetland reclassification requests have been, notwithstanding, and having listened to DBCA's feedback and the city's feedback, we have lodged the wetland reclassification request. One was lodged on the 15th of June and the other one has been lodged for the southern wetland has been lodged this week. Where reclassification was not required, we're just showing a couple of examples of where structure plans have been approved over areas of map resource enhancement wetlands. In our proposal, there has been no intent to remove the wetland. Instead, our site-specific assessment was undertaken in accordance with the guidelines to inform the proposed wetland extent. It shows, and however, these historic precedents helped inform our strategy at the start. Again, we did discuss this before we lodged the structure plan, and it was our understanding that this was a process that would work, given that this process happened before. In terms of why the structure plan should be supported, we consider it to be appropriate for support at this stage, showing that the matters raised by the city are not being dismissed but will be addressed through a formal structure plan modification process. It ensures that council retains oversight and that all outstanding issues can be resolved in a transparent and orderly manner. The Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage has confirmed that it will pause the assessment of the application until the reclassification process is finalised, and this will provide confidence that no premature decisions will be made and that the proposal will ultimately be assessed against the statutory framework. All technical reports that are necessary will be updated to respond to the revised wetland mapping.
Thank you, Your Worship. In the presentation just then, maybe I misheard, but was there a reference to presentation material that was shared ahead of time?
Yeah, this.
Okay. Has that been shared with councillors?
It's in your attachment.
Oh. Okay, I've got the Word doc version of. Okay.
I'm happy to give you this copy if you'd like.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've got a few. Any other questions? Anyone else see that email? No other questions? Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Sargent?
It's the process that I go through as normal. Thank you, Mayor Feasy.
Councillor Brown and team, microphone.
My question was, what was the ideology or reasoning for your reduction of the buffer from that 50 metres to a 30 metre separation? I'll leave it on. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me talk today. The buffers of conservation category wetlands, which is the highest classification of wetlands, is typically in a standardway set of 50 metres. It's prescribed by the Native Vegetation Clearing Regulations as being the statutory protection for a wetland. Every other wetland that we have is actually not protected in the statutory sense. It is indeed then becomes a policy setting. So in some instances, yes, resource enhancement wetlands have a 50 metre buffer ascribed to them, sometimes 30, sometimes even less. There is actually that flexibility that exists within the planning and decision making between local government, DBCA. Well, DBCA actually don't make decisions on buffers on resource enhancement wetlands anymore. They were. They are restricting themselves to their statutory obligations now, which is conservation category wetlands. So there is flexibility of what we think is available for a buffer. So in this instance, the majority of the buffer, the southern portion of the northern wetland is a buffer that has value and can provide the protection. The rest of the buffers on these wetlands are heavily degraded. So a 30 metre buffer provides sufficient separation, but doesn't create a large obligation both from a development perspective and also from an ongoing management perspective for the city. So 30 metres is kind of a compromise position of a reasonable level of protection for these quite degraded wetlands. The northern ones, the southern portion of the northern wetlands in pretty good condition, the southern wetlands in fairly poor condition. So that's striking that compromise of land use, environmental sort of outcome.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No, thank you. I'm going to allow the question, just so you know. We're actually at 6.3, but I believe, Moira, is it, that you actually had a question? We've actually passed question time on the agenda, but I will actually allow you to make your question or ask your question because we don't normally get many questions from members of the public. So, so if you could just come forward and once you've asked your question, if you can provide the question to us on a form that one of the officers will provide you. We have received via email, but there is a format that needs to be provided. So if you could just state your name and address and then ask your question.
Moira Nell, and I live in Wellard on the rural side of the freeway, so definitely impacted by the proposed development that's happening on the road. My question is in relation to, I guess, the impact of particularly road users and also on shared user infrastructure within that area. We have definitely seen a lot of power outages. There's been, huge impacts in terms of we've had a lot of development in that space. I don't feel like there's been a lot of increase in the infrastructure to be able to cope with that demand. We've also had the Thomas Road closure. We've had the Mundijong Road closure. We've had increased traffic on the Kwinana Freeway. People are leaving the freeway to come through those rural roads to try and skip a bit of the traffic. We've had a lot of congestion, sometimes adding 20 to 30 minutes on a journey into the city for work, or making people late for school, etc. So my question is, I would like to make sure that, well, for starters, I'm not quite sure what modelling has been used for the traffic impact assessment, in terms of only assessing a potential 400 movement increase from once the new development goes through, especially considering there's 460 dwellings. But I would actually like to understand if there's going to be an investment in community infrastructure infrastructure or community benefit through that area before construction begins?
I will get Mr. Bowring, the Director of City Development, to answer that question. No? Yes?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Feasy. Thank you for the question. Yes, certainly there is a lot going on in the area, and Kwinana is at the forefront of the urban development edge at the moment, in particular this area around Wellard. And what you're seeing is the inevitable result of that. The land development process, the developers, there's a few of them there in the room today, their representatives, they're aware that they've got to deliver that new infrastructure. They build the local roads, they build the local parks, they install the lighting, they do that all to the relevant standards, and over a period of time there's a defects period, usually about 2 years, that we check all of that to make sure that it meets our standards, and then there's a handover process and it becomes a city asset, which then the rate system pays for the maintenance and ongoing looking after the local roads and the local parks. The regional infrastructure, which is what a lot of what your comments actually referred to, is state-funded or federally funded major road projects like freeway widening, which is coming soon, upgrades to Mortimer Road, Thomas Road, Anketel Road. They're all imminent or underway, in some almost underway. So those things are going to continue, unfortunately, to cause some suburban pain as people inevitably search out rat runs while the work goes on. And that's something that the city is quite well aware of, unfortunately, and councillors, I'm sure, are as well. But to know that is also to have strategies to work around that as well, and how we do deal with the inevitable traffic management issues. But the planning framework does deal with the local infrastructure and then cost sharing arrangements to make sure that those infrastructure items are paid for by the developer and to the required standards. So I'm not sure if there was any other parts of the question there.
It was just in relation to, will that be completed before construction begins? So I guess having a safe and effective plan implemented before the impact is...
Yeah. That's the timing of individual projects is particularly where it's private land developers doing their works versus when the state does a major road upgrade or another major infrastructure project. Often they don't align perfectly, and that's where we get where we are at the moment. So not necessarily is the answer, and we're not in control of that outcome entirely. We do advocate for it though.
So would there be a social impact assessment or something that's completed where there is additional stakeholder engagement through the community on these impacts, just to make sure that those things have been covered? I know that there's definitely a bigger increase in Western Australia for frameworks and guidelines to be showing that that is now required for larger projects or for even medium to small size projects.
So, and you look at for example, the traffic impact assessment that was done to support this structure plan demonstrates that it will have an effective road network operational at 2037. So assuming that those projects are all implemented in 2037, there won't be a level of service that's deficient because of this development. So we look at what is planned, what is known today, and we look at what the outcome is going to be. The interim growth pains and growing pains, they need to be managed, but we're looking at the outcome when we look at that, and that's in the structure plan. So we do engage on that, and we do get the consultants to go through that and make sure. So we work with they work with Main Roads, I work with the local government, and we work through those issues and work out what is going to be an effective transport solution when complete, but the interim can be difficult.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was the extent of your questions?
It is, thank you.
Okay, no problem. The CEO has actually said the form that you have provided via email will be sufficient for the minutes. Okay, back to wherever we were. 7.1, minutes of the special council meeting held on the 10th of June 2026. Does anyone have any questions? No? Can someone move that way? Move, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Acker. Either councillor wish to speak? Speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Declarations of interest. Any councillors have any Declarations? No. Leave of absence? Does anyone have any leaves of absence that they wish to make? I would actually like to take a leave of absence from the, the 22nd of July inclusive, which is the next council meeting. Someone move that way. Move Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Acker. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Deputy Mayor, you will be in the chair. We'll make sure we fill the agenda sufficiently for you. And if everyone can wear a tie to this one. Nothing on 10, 11, 12, 12.1 minutes of the Bullamara Aboriginal Consultative Committee meeting held on the 8th of June 2026. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further.
Questions? Someone move that way. Moved Councillor Sargent, seconded Deputy Mayor. Either councillor wish to speak?
Yes, please.
Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I just, in reading the minutes, would like to acknowledge and agree with Murray Wally and Deputy Mayor Barry Winmar that it would be great to see in the future more community present in the Indigenous celebrations that we offer in Kwinana, and I would very much appreciate the Bullamara's advice to council on any ways that we as individuals and community stakeholders could encourage and support the outcomes of direct community engagement instead of it just being people coming from organisations. I think the real interconnection with human beings and families and our community to come together, to celebrate together, is how we make real impacts in the reconciliation space. And I'm very glad again to have Bullamara as part of the city of Kwinana, and yeah, highly support and would love to hear that feedback from a future meeting, please.
Thank you. Anything else, Deputy Mayor?
I'll echo the sentiments of Councillor Sargent, Your Worship, and nothing further there.
Anyone speak against? Put the motion to vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. There's nothing on item 13, 14, 15 or 16. 17, 17.1, Miller Road Local Structure Plan. Is there any additional information?
The information that has been emailed out in response to the deputation.
So everyone has received that information now, and Councillor Brown, you've had a quick skim through the...
Yeah, I've read that information.
Does anyone have any questions in relation to this development? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is in relation to, I guess, the difference in opinion on the approach to modifying the wetland boundaries. I guess in the advice that came out ahead of this meeting in response to the deputation, the city has said that the DBCA doesn't support the approach being taken by the applicant, but I guess in their view and what's been spoken about today, they're stating that the DBCA and DBLH are supportive of that approach. Could the city add additional detail to its position and the advice, I guess, it's received in relation to that matter?
Mr. Bowering.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. Our position is informed by the process of dealing with basically the primary land constraint, land use constraint and planning constraint in that structure plan area, which is the two wetland areas. The developer and the applicant, for their part, has gone to some trouble to try and identify what they believe to be the right response to the treatment of those wetlands. Our position is that may be the outcome, but we can't take that on face value. We need to have an understanding of what the classification is of those wetland is, so that we can make sure that the road alignments, the major road connections and the land use zonings and density codings are going to actually apply in the right area, that we're not going to have to shift something 20 metres across if it's a 50 metre for say the northern one, where it might need a 50 metre buffer around a conservation category wetland. We feel that from our position it makes a material impact on the structure plan and the details that it's trying to achieve in terms of the land use outcomes, the transportation network and the overall lot yield. So there's a number of unknowns for us, and by having those still in the unknown category, we can't be confident about the outcome of the structure plan. So our recommendation is not to support it at this time until we have that basic understanding of what is the major land constraint on the property.
And just to follow up, if I may, on that point, and certainly not disregarding the reason just explained there, is the advice that was presented in the, I guess, a response to the deputation via email, was that, I guess, in regards to an inquiry with DBCA on this specific occasion, or does it just mirror, I guess, our experience and our expectations from other applications?
Thank you for your feedback. Yes, that's the process. So normally, in most... Oh, sorry, I turned it off. Through your MFEC. The normal process is that we would have those, that assessment would be done, and it would be a feed into the overall design, that we would have a good understanding of what the category of wetland is, so that we're not in this position, essentially. So that's really the normal orderly process, which is the basic reason for refusal, recommendation for refusal. There's a lot of other issues that have been mentioned in the deputation. We're completely fine, and we support a lot of those, but there's some key elements that are kind of interlinked, and that's around the wetland mapping and the classification.
Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. If we're looking at the director's advice, what is the timeline or potential delay for the applicant to have this information provided so that we can clearly know what we're looking at going forwards?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. The timeline will be determined at that point. If this recommendation was supported, the matter then goes to the Planning Commission. The Department for Planning would then have the choice about whether or not it wanted to wait for that process to be finalised before it made a determination on the structure plan. So we're in the position of providing advice to the West Australian Planning Commission. They may not make a decision until the wetland classification is completed, or they may choose to go forward with it and try to condition around it. But from our point of view, they don't think that's an orderly process. The likelihood is if the process goes to the Planning Commission and they wait for that outcome from DBCA on the classification, then they would likely consult with us at an officer level to just clarify any issues. Our recommendation in the recommended resolution is to note that we have modifications there as a recommendation to the West Australian Planning Commission if they decide to go forward with it. So we've got our position in that recommendation in attachment 17.1.5 in case they want to go forward without that position being clarified by DBCA.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I guess, thank you for your clarification. I'm thinking of the applicant, is that wetland classification, is that something that normally takes 6 months, 2 months, or is it could be a 10-year rabbit hole that they're looking at going forwards?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. The question is really for another government agency. Might actually be appropriate to ask the consultant in the room from the applicant to has a much closer knowledge of that. Works with the department on quite, but it's not a multi-year sort of process, but it can be some months and a period of time, and it depends what information the department needs to make its assessment and complete its determination.
Nothing further?
No, thank you.
Councillor Acker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a simple question. Is it fair to say that the wetland mapping pretty much affects the entire proposal?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. The proposal is heavily influenced by the outcome, in our view, and to make a decision at this stage would be to simply not have the full picture when we're making a recommendation. It's far from ideal to have that extent unknown, because it would deal with a lot of the consequential water management strategy, local water management strategy, and the bushfire management response as well, which is also a bit of a concern.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just further to Councillor Acker's question around some clarity. So it's my understanding that the process around the mapping needs to be clarified before we are to make a determination on whether to support the applicants and the proposal going forward, and we're not in that position at this stage. Is that how I'm reading the situation? Mr. Barry?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. Yes, that's correct. That's spot on.
Any other questions? No? So would someone like to move that way? Moved. Councillor Acker, seconded. Councillor Rouse. Either councillors wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quite simply, I think approving before the DBCA has finalised a wetland mapping, we'd be putting the cart before the horse. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Councillor Rouse.
Yeah, happy to support the city's point of view on this matter, Your Worship, and and their recommendation not to support the structure plan. Thank you.
Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Item 17.2, Kwinana City Centre Precinct Plan. Is there any additional information?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Councillors have any questions in relation to this item? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. I did ask a question ahead of the meeting, just for transparency. I'll ask it again. The precinct plan kind of outlines different zones, and my question was in relation to the civic zone, I guess where the likes of the admin and chambers are, and Kulini Arts Centre and the like. And it was, specifically, it was the vision here, guess, outlines perhaps additional residential development in that specific zone. And I was just asking about what implication does that have as it relates to noise for some of those plans we have for that space, or kind of what the existing use is right now with the likes of kind of events, Kulini Arts Centre and the like. So could the city just speak to, I guess, the response I received earlier today?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. Yes, so certainly what we're trying to create through the, my understanding is through this structure plan, is to create sort of a mixed environment of commercial, residential, to bolster the vibrancy of the city centre. So as part of that is dealing with the implications for having residential in amongst entertainment facilities as well, which is common in a lot of active centres. So that vibrancy only comes with the conflict of having residential with the commercial activity. So there's approaches within the health regulations and in the Planning Act to ensure that residences that are likely to be impacted by noise will get notifications, will be built to a certain standard to actually mitigate the noise impacts in those areas where you do have those uses that are complementary but not always coexisting very well sometimes. East Perth was a good example of that when that was first developed. You had the mixed-use apartments built over the bars downstairs, and there was a lot of complaints which led to the bars being closed because they didn't have the right processes in place to mitigate and make sure that those were going to work effectively together. Things have moved on in the last 30 years since that, and we'd have better processes around that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could just add what Greg has said. So as part of what you've highlighted, Councillor, in terms of when you look at the Cullen Amphitheatre, so we are going through a review in terms of what enhancements are required to bring that space to life. Certainly part of it is looking at how we do noise mitigation, as we've just engaged some consultants to do the review. So part of what they've identified is that there are a number of mechanisms which can be done in terms of noise mitigation, whether it be the type of sound systems that you have, which are a lot more sophisticated now in terms of how they direct sound, in terms of how you could have panelling around the exterior walls, the planting of trees, other foliage around, raising the height of the wall, even getting to a situation where, for instance, we may consider double glazing of residents, which has occurred in a number of places. So there's a number of ways to be able to manage it, and as Mr. Barron has said, there's also parts within the Health Act in terms of how events and activities take place and the timeframes and how often and that. So there's a number of ways that can be managed. So it doesn't detract from what we're trying to achieve because we have those residential areas there now.
Any other questions? Councillor Penny?
Thank you. I understand that the most recent parking mapping of the precinct was done in 2026. How is that mapping accommodating for increased residential activity and also then assumed increased, street traffic and increased population accessing community services like the Darius Wells and the Aquatic?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasey. I'm assuming you're talking about the assessment of the parking usage and utilisation. Yeah, thanks. That gives us a baseline so that when we start to introduce new development, we know what level of parking is going to be needed and how to address the demand when we start to see the desired built form being established within the centre. So we know it's always good to continuously have an understanding of the amount of parking available. Our studies indicate that there is parking available, but not always someone exactly wants it at the time. So how we improve that through the provision of parking in new developments is what will be used to guide those future developments.
Councillor Sargent?
Thank you, Mayor Feasey. Can the city speak to having this clear vision of what we're hoping, obviously over multiple decades to achieve, that what the city of Kwinana would look at like, that if an applicant, for example, the McDonald's in the Audi car park, was to come through post this structure plan being in place, if it is non-conforming to what this plan clearly outlines should be on that street, that would not get approved at this time?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasey. That's precisely what happened with the McDonald's application. The original application was a design that was a suburban design and wasn't supported through the Joint Development Assessment Panel. The applicant went back, redesigned it, and in accordance with the current precinct guidelines, and it was then supported. So that's an indicator of an effective policy framework, and what we're doing here with this is a review of that policy framework and to bring it up to date with modern planning parlance and the provisions within the scheme, so that it is easy to implement and a little bit more modern in its wording as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Penny?
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to ask a follow-up question, and it's something that was triggered by the briefing that we had just prior to this around the branding of the rec centre redevelopment. And a point that was made was when the community, when customers enter into the facility and they have say a 3 or 5 metre travel time before they engage with people, or the example in some other facilities, they might have a 30 metre walk or engagement into the centre before they encounter people. And I'm looking at that in terms of parking in this precinct. And I understand around the Aquatic that there is a great deal of parking around the city centre, but not necessarily in close proximity to the Aquatic. And I guess my question is, what, can those kind of considerations be taken on board moving forward while we're looking at connecting the walkways through different sort of parking areas, one thing that I'm going to continue to champion is that we reduce the barriers for people to access these, Gold Star Premier facilities that the city's redeveloping and utilising, and that makes it as accessible and easy for the people who need the exercise most, the elderly, people with young families, and actually busy people who are just looking for any excuse, like I can't find the car park, I'm not going to go in today. So I guess moving forward, what scope is there to sort of really take on some of those, if you like, softer considerations in terms of how people interface with these, premier facilities that we're redeveloping?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. Certainly, what you're speaking to is a lot of that is about the built form design as well. And in the current planning framework, there's detailed design process now, which uses a panel of architects usually to help assess the quality of the design, not just that it meets the standards, but is it an effective building? Is it accessible? Does it meet? Is it also an attractive, effective building? And that has made a significant change in the outcomes that we're seeing across WA with major structures within commercial and urban centres. So yes, that is part of the process now, with Design WA being a major factor in the quality of the building. It's also embedded in the framework for this structure plan. It's all about that connectivity between places and within the centre, and for people to access the centre from outside. So it's really about making those pedestrianised, accessible connections, looking at where the crosswalks are, looking at how the landscaping facilitates accessibility through there as well. So that's a strong theme through the strategy.
Through you, Mr Mayor, if I could just add to what Greg said on that one. Car parking is not an issue which is a Kwinana thing as well. If you look at any city, they all have the similar issues in terms of car parking, in terms of how people perceive car parking should be provided. People generally have this view that car parking should be right next to where they need to go. But unfortunately, that becomes a very valuable, becomes not a great use of land, which is very valuable for the other activities. As Greg was saying, it's about providing the accessibility and how people can then connect to it. So that's one of the reasons why we put forward the plan to the Thriving Suburbs funding to get funding for the Civic Precinct upgrade work, which is about providing that connectivity, which will then connect through past the Aquatic up to the administration building. So that's how you bring that to life, make it easier for people to connect and be more accessible to those areas, but also want to move around all the various businesses, activities which are in that area.
Any other questions? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Since what we're being asked to, I guess, consider is for the purpose of public consultation, and just down at the bottom of the document, community engagement. First I want to say, obviously great, publish and love my Kwinana, targeted letters to people it might affect. Just underneath that it says, following advertising, the city will consider all submissions and make modifications where appropriate before presenting the KCC PSP to council for adoption. I'm just wondering, what does that really mean? Like, if majority of the submissions are people saying we don't like it, how is the city going to respond to that? So how are they going to, go about making the modifications they say?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Feasy. Yeah, that's certainly part of it. So you'll get all of the submissions, you'll get our response to those submissions and a recommendation. So that may not that may change some of the elements, it may not change it. Depends on the merits that are of the submissions, and we look particularly at the planning merit that's from a professional point of view as to whether or not we would recommend changes based on those submissions. So it's not the numbers game as far as we're concerned, it's about the quality of the issue raised. Yeah.
Any other questions? Someone like to move that item? Moved. Councillor Sargent, seconded. Councillor Acker. Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. The city team has done an extremely extensive job in putting this together. I see this structure plan as something that will secure a level of class, potentially, of how this area will be developed. It is clear, it is concise, but I guess the other thing to be conscious of is all of this is not going to be built tomorrow. As we have learnt on council, someone will put in an application for a building, and that building may or may not ever appear until there is that need, that bite at the time. But Kwinana is a fantastic, thriving community that is planning to grow, and by the CEO and his amazing team putting together this work to ensure that how Kwinana grows is in the best interest of our community, continues to follow all of the values and ethics that they continually check and ask our community what we want, and you have provided on a silver platter that document. So I highly congratulate you. I suggest to my fellow councillors that we endorse this for the document it is, not that this is tomorrow's accomplishment, but this is a guide to ensure that our grandchildren have a classy and fantastic Kwinana to live in. Thank you.
Councillor Acker. Before I do put it to the vote, I think I'll also say something in relation to the to this plan. Councillor Wood is probably the only one that will remember this. Councillor Rouse may also. But if you go back to 2008, the city had a campaign called the Looking Forward campaign, which was really the catalyst to drive growth in Kwinana. Kwinana is currently the second fastest growing local government in Western Australia, which I think, if you look back to the investment and the development that occurred in the city centre, that certainly was part of the catalyst for lots of private developers wanting to come to Kwinana to actually develop land. If you look back, for those people that have lived in Kwinana for a long time, and most people in the room have, will remember the childcare centre on the hill. The hill's still there, the childcare centre isn't. The library was at the marketplace. We obviously have now a fantastic facility there, and in a very short period of time the city centre has developed, and some would say the Kwinana marketplace has gone up and down over those times, but as far as the development that has occurred in the city centre, which again is the catalyst I think for lots of the development in the surrounding areas, it has certainly been great. So to move forward on a new plan and allow some changes, I think is to be commended. And for those people that haven't seen the sign outside of the old reject shop, there is an application for a liquor licence for a business called The Last Slice, which I believe is the business that is going in as the tavern licensee, or the licensed premise that the marketplace are looking to put in. So for those people that want to Google The Last Slice, there's one in Midland and Bunbury and somewhere else. So it's actually a sports bar, so it's actually very much like the Sporting Globe. If you Google, you'll have a look, you'll see quickly what exactly it is. I think our community will certainly enjoy it. It's very similar to the Varsity Bar, which is what we thought we were getting. So again, anyone speak against? I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Uh, 17.3, Local Planning Scheme Number 3, Amendment 7. Is there any additional information?
No, nothing further.
Councillors have any questions? Someone like to move that way? Moved. Councillor Rouse, second Deputy Mayor. Councillor Rouse.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just briefly, this is a necessary update to the city's planning framework. It's made evident at a recent DAP application where it was argued that the master plan held no statutory weight. This now ensures that in future there will be no such ambiguity, and our intended planning outcomes and that of the city centre's precinct plan we've just put out for advertising will be the appropriate guiding document in the future. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I agree with my fellow councillor, Councillor Rouse, but it also brings about consistency of language and clarity in those processes, and also ensures that there's that level of professionalism around the documents, around the interchangeability, and some of the amendments that are going to be implemented will strengthen our position as a City of Kwinana. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone speak against? Put the motion to vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.1, Register of Delegated Authority 2627. Is that the one where there's an alternative?
There's an amendment.
Amendment.
The projector literally just died, easy, but I've got it right here for you.
Is that the one that was in the memo?
Correct.
It was in the memo that was sent out.
Has everyone seen the amendment? So I guess I'll have to read it out. So we're deleting this section from the CEO through to the City of Kwinana, and in its place putting the CEO's delegated authority is subject to the following limitations. 1, any write-off of a debt, regardless of whether it was incurred as a result of an administrative error or otherwise, not exceeding $10,000 per individual debt, and any grant of concession or waiver not exceeding $1,500 per occurrence. A debt may only be written off where all necessary measures have been taken to locate, contact the debtor, and where costs associated with the continued action to recover the debt will outweigh the net value of the debt if recovered by the City of Kwinana. Does anyone have any questions? Someone like to move? Move to Councillor Sargent. Do you
want me to explain?
What are we moving now?
So that amendment has been placed into the attachment. So it's the recommendation is still the same, but it's with that amendment in there. Do you want me to explain the reason why?
No, different question.
Okay.
Is there a mechanism to appoint an acting CEO in case you're not available in this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have someone move that? Move to Councillor Sargent, second to Councillor Acker. Either councillors wish to speak? Actually, quickly.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I just appreciate that the team has gone through the compliance, the legislation, and for the ability for transparency and accountability to our community. Thank you for your work you've done in this document, that it reads cleaner, it has more layman's capabilities to understand how it works. So thank you very much.
I think there's some murmurings here. What's your issue, Councillor Brown?
Just for absolute clarity and for the benefit of those in the chamber, could we just read what exactly we are moving? Just because it's not on screen and those behind us don't have visibility of what we're looking at.
Sorry, can I also add another point to that as a point of order?
If it is a point of order.
Well, apologies. I was unclear whether we were actually moving the amendment or are we actually moving the whole recommendation now?
We're moving the amended recommendation.
No, it's the amended
Are we
recommendation.
moving to agree with the amendment and then we actually move the recommendation?
No, it's the recommendation with the amendment in it.
Okay. Well, in that case, I did have a question, which we skipped over.
Sorry, can I just, because I can't see, can you read that, Mr. Elkins? In its entirety.
I can't even see that. It's just got the word amendment before the word attachment. Amended attachment.
Yeah, that's not the one I'm looking at. I've got the council adopts the City of Kwinana Register of Delegated Authority 2627 as detailed in the attachment 18.1.
So the attachment is what's amended.
It's amended. The amendment
As detailed in the
amended attachment.
18.1.1, and the amendment is the point that Mayor Feasy read out.
Is that clear? That's kind of clear to me.
Okay, so you're voting on the whole recommendation.
Correct.
In which case I did have a question
Okay.
on the recommendation before we moved to ask for Zoran to second it, to nominate and second it.
You have a question?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. The report speaks to best practice and that these amendments align the city with best practice. My question is, how is best practice defined in this context, and how is this approach benchmarked against other local governments?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So best practices in terms of, so there are models in terms of delegations, in terms of where they sit between the governance and the administration. We benchmark it by looking at other councils to see how they have got their delegations done. It's also a balance between maintaining the administration so that it can flow in a timely manner, and then also ensuring that there is transparency around anything that is made. So it looks at a whole range of factors, but we look at other councils, we look at the guidelines that come out from Lagours, and also from Welga. So that's how the best practice is done.
Any other questions? So now we're clear that we're moving the amended attachment. Someone happy to move that way? Move Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Sargent. Anyone speak against? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Uh, 18.2, monthly financial report, April 2026. Any questions or any additional information? Someone like to move that way? Moved to Councillor Wood, seconded Councillor Brown. Either councillors wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 18.3, corporate business plan annual review. Is there any additional information or any questions?
Nothing further.
Someone like to move that way? Moved Councillor Acker, seconded Councillor Miller. Councillor Sargent. Councillor Acker, would you like to speak? Councillor Sargent.
They do a fantastic job, but I'm okay. Thank you.
Anyone speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 18.4, accounts for payment for the month ended 31st March 2026. Any additional information? Any?
I'll move that, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Rouse. I was waiting for Councillor Sargent to ask us a random question about item 462. Neither of you wish to speak? Any speak against? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried. Get there eventually. There's nothing on item 19, 20. I don't believe there's any late or urgent business. Reports of elected members. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Acker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the senior citizens meeting. The new committee held their second meeting, tracking nicely. Still having a little bit of problems with the treasurer getting into zero, but yeah, all going well.
Councillor Brown. Councillor Miller.
Yeah, just quickly, I attended the place plans, West Bertram and the city centre. Thought they were well put on, and good job to the team.
Councillor Penny.
Thank you, nothing to report.
Councillor Rouse.
Thank you, Worship. I chaired the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting on Tuesday the 16th of June at the Angus Wally meeting room. So if something's come out of the refurbishment of our admin, it's that we're using other spaces around the city, and I can just say that all those attendees were quite impressed with that facility. It's probably our best meeting room that we have in the city at the moment. So gladly reporting that no major reports from the attending agencies. I will want to say that there was a presentation from DFES on lithium battery incidents. Highlighting 2025, there were 10 incidents, and 2026 there were 73 incidents. So 22 of those were batteries not on charge or in storage, and the majority of those were in rubbish trucks. 21 were e-riders that were on charge, and 13 were on battery chargers. So there's good advice on the DFES lithium-ion batteries portal for those needing advice on what to do with batteries, how to charge them, how to store them, and how to dispose of them. But basically, don't place batteries in any bin. Don't leave batteries charging overnight or when not attended. The better quality of battery and charger, the safer it will be. And if you drop a battery, then dispose of it appropriately. So we also, the LEMP also endorsed the updated local emergency management arrangements, which will be coming to council for approval at an upcoming meeting. If you could just pass on our thanks to Chris Wells, our Chief Bushfire Control Officer, and Ian Critchley as well, our community representative, who had a fair bit of input. If you know, Ian is always involved. He's the next chair of the LENC before statutes made a councillor in charge of that. And just finally, although it was predicted to be a high-risk bushfire season, we only had one major significant bushfire this year, which was dealt with promptly by a bushfire brigade. So also, if you agree, and pass on our special thanks to our bushfire mitigation officer, Jared Fowler, and all those involved in keeping us safe over the bushfire season. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rouse. Councillor Sargent.
Thank you, Mayor Feasy. I just have that slight little bit to read that we have discussed earlier. So I have done all my basic duties, but I would just like to say that the City of Kwinana mourns the loss of multiple members who have made significant contributions to our community. I'd like to take a moment to honour Joy for her continuous dedication to making sure infants in Kwinana knew love when they were waiting for their forever homes. Gaynor for her sharing of amazing craftsmanship and friendship to our community with kindness. Jeanette for supporting those who need it with your ever steady patience and compassion. David, a proud Alcoan for 30 years, who has created a large legacy within Kwinana. Avril, who had an amazing passion and dedication to the Kwinana Bowling Club, and how she helped it thrive for over a decade. Jan, for her creative and environmental preservation's impact, especially in the Homestead Ridge area. I wish to thank all the loved ones of these mentioned for sharing their committed and caring people with our community. Your impact cannot be understated, and we as a community are blessed to have known you. And finally, I would just like to take a moment to honour Anne Moore, whose impact and legacy in the domestic violence advocacy space has had an immeasurable impact, saved lives, and built processes to continue to save lives. Because of Anne, Kwinana's daughters are safer, and I hope her advocacy legacy will lead to those with a voice to use it, so that the laws target domestic violence perpetrators instead of just trying to protect survivors. So Kwinana's great-granddaughters will not face the challenges of the domestic violence survivors face today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wood.
I've performed all those duties required of me. Thank you, Your Worship.
There is nothing on item 23. Mayoral announcements. There has been a few. I attended the 50th anniversary of the Rockingham Hospital. I attended the commissioning of the HMAS Air, which is the second of the new patrol boats that are being, well, the next lot will be built, Arafura class patrol boats, which will be built in Henderson. What else did I do? attended some Reconciliation Week events, along with a number of councillors. And I attended a number of plantings with Councillor Brown and Councillor Miller. It's great that I think so far we've planted, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 seedlings. I think the target was about 8,000 or 9,000 over the period. Where are we at? Oh, missed the whole week. I attended World Elder Abuse Awareness Day last Monday, and can I shout out to Annette Taylor for putting together the Purple Road, which is a banner to signify World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which has over 600 individual flowers stitched to it. I attended the opening of the Australian Submarine Agency's WA Submarine Showcase in Rockingham. For those people that would like to go and have a look to see all about submarines, or you have young people that might be interested in getting a job in defence industries, there's a number of displays and activities that are available there. It's part of the Gary Holland Centre in Rockingham. I think it's open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 till 2. On Friday, I had quite a busy day. I attended the sod turning of St Pat's social housing project in Cassia. There's 26 new social housing dwellings. I then attended a tree planting event with Madeline King, which was to signify the $1.8 million the federal government has given us to plant 1,800 trees. And then lastly, I attended another presentation by the Premier at the Adventure Park, which was the $1 million that Lottery West have given council to build or to extend the existing water play area at the Adventure Park. So that I believe Mr. Elkins' team will have that up and running by the 1st of December. So on the public record there, Mr. Elkins.
That's a very confident
Might this be Mr. Elkins with a hose and a bucket, but
I'll be there.
2 buckets for Councillor Penny. I think it's almost there. Tomorrow, for those people that are around, there's a community safety afternoon in Honeywood, where we have a number of city staff, Sinead and her crew of community safety folk, having a forum or a bit of an afternoon for people to come down and ask questions. I believe the police will be there, and a number of other agencies, Bushfire Brigade, etc. And lastly, can I also just pay tribute to Anne Moore. I believe that she was the CEO of Lucy Saw Centre for some 45 years, which I think is a testament to her commitment to domestic violence in not only the Rockingham community but also the Kwinana community. And I will be attending her funeral tomorrow, which I believe I'll probably be standing in the very far car park, as the venue seems to be quite small considering the impact that Anne has made on the community. There are no confidential items, and so I'll declare the meeting closed at 7:14. Thank you for your attendance.